Hi everyone, what's up, what's up? Mystic at the Crossroads. I hope all of y'all are doing well, you and your families are blessed and everything is going good for you. Thank you so much for taking a minute to sit with me today. Today's video, we are going to talk about candle interpretations and what it means when your candle burns a certain way. Particularly your glass candles. The 7-day are often referred to as the novena candles. I won't be covering all of the different interpretations in this video because that would get pretty lengthy, but I will go through some of the common ones that I see a lot of postings of people saying, hey, what does it mean when this happens to my candle, and just some of the emails that I have gotten. For the wax and freestanding candles, I don't do a lot of those, so I won't be covering those today either. The only ones that I really do readings on are the love or breakup spells that I do for clients that come to me to have work done. So all the other ones, you know, I don't really interpret those very much. But there is an abundance of articles and information online where you can look up and kind of figure out what it means, you know, what it means when those candles burn a certain way. I will also post in the description the link to my blog page that has a bit longer kind of interpretation for the glass candles, and just give you a little bit more information in case I don't mention something here in this video that you are experiencing or you're trying to figure out, okay? Really quickly before we get into that, I just want to send a big shout out to everyone. Thank you so much for all of you who share my videos, who have subscribed to both my YouTube channel and my social media. It's very much appreciated. I unfortunately can't always respond to all of your sweet messages or questions, but I do try as much as I can, and I do see you, so thank you so much for that. If you like this video, be sure to give it a thumbs up. Please share this video with someone that you care about or you think who might need this information. The more likes this video gets, the more YouTube shares it with other people, and the more we can raise the vibration and send out the information to someone who may have the same questions as you do. I've also been getting a lot of questions of whether or not I'd be willing to do a live YouTube, kind of like Q&A with you guys, and I'm totally up for that, as long as people would, you know, if you guys want to watch it. So if this video can get 400 likes, that's all I'm asking for. Get 400 likes on this video, I will do a live YouTube Q&A with you guys to go over pretty much anything you want to ask me. So spells, rituals, recipes, anything pertaining to magic. If I know the answer, I will be happy to share that with you guys. So thank you, thank you, thank you. My Instagram is One Ritual Way, as well as my email if you want to get in contact with me outside of YouTube. All right, so let's talk magic. Glass candles, 7-day novena candles. I have a few examples here. We've all seen them at the grocery stores, in metaphysical shops, and occult stores, dollar stores. These are pretty much easily and accessible to find. Maybe not the money drawing, but you guys, you get what I mean. These are fairly easy to find. Now, when you get a candle and you're getting ready to dress your candle, prepare your candle and light it and allow it to burn, of course, as it's burning, it may do some things that you're wondering, like, I wonder, does that mean anything? Is that a sign? Is that something that I need to be aware of? And a lot of times people, you know, at the end of the candles, they will try to read them and interpret how quickly maybe the results will come, whether or not what their spell is or ritual is it going to be successful? Was it even received? So those are the sorts of questions that we'll be covering today. So first and foremost, I just want to talk to you guys about how you dress your candles and sort of to figure out what the difference is if the candle is burning kind of funny due to what you used and how you dressed it versus this is just, you know, a communication back from the candle pertaining to the energy surrounding your work. I will try to insert some picture clips somewhere in this video when I do my editing if I can, but just bear with me and try to follow along. I think you'll get what I'm saying. So when we dress a candle, normally, depending on what you're working on, the candle is going to be dressed with maybe some conditioning oils, also called, you know, conjure oils, and you may use some roots or herbs or powders or something to that effect. Glitter, I mean, there's really no limit. Now, a couple of things that I try to remind people, and I know if you're fairly new to candle magic and working with your candles, you may or may not kind of know this as of yet, but 2 things you want to look for. Number 1, before you dress your candle, actually before you pay for your candle, always check the bottom of the candle and make sure that the anchor is in the middle. When the anchor is in the middle, that means that the wick is in the middle. Even if the wick looks like it's centered here, if the anchor is off, what happens is the wick is somewhere moved around. It's not going to be straight. So as your candle is burning, the wick is going to, travel closer to the glass, closer to the side. And that can give you kind of a false reading of what the candle or what the ritual work is doing. Now, the wicks, whether they're anchored or not, the wicks tend to move sometimes. And that's going to happen because the candle is liquefying as it's burning down. One thing someone asked, and this is totally okay. Some people are like, well, I don't want to, but I think this is fine. You can recenter your wick. So if your candle is burning and it's over here towards the glass, just take something, a knife, a spoon, a pencil, whatever it is that you have, and just carefully try not to put the wick out, try not to put the flame out, and just move the wick back into the center. If the flame does go out, don't panic. It's okay. You don't need to like redress it and all that. Just simply relight it. And I always just speak my words of intention when I relight my candle. Okay, so that's one thing to kind of keep in mind. The next thing is the products that you're using when you're dressing your candles. So with essential oils or conjure oils, olive oil, whatever it is that you're using, a little really does go a long way. You do not need a lot. A couple of drops should be just fine. There's no really rule of how many or how little. I don't measure anything. I just kind of, drop here, dash of this, dash of that. So you just want to be mindful. You don't want to pour so much that you have like this layer of liquid sitting around. If you have your oil in here and you can actually move it around the candle, that might be a little bit too much. So what your options to do is either A, you can pour some of it out, or just take a napkin and kind of absorb some of it. Or you can take a, I meant to grab it. You can take something long. I use a barbecue skewer, but you can just take something long and sharp and put some holes down inside of the candle. This is good for two reasons. Number one, it prevents the oil from sitting on top of the wax of the candle. And two, it also helps the oil go down inside of the wax of the candle so that your candle is going to be anointed, if you can get all the way down, great, but it'll be anointed, a little bit further down. When you're burning your candles, also, just kind of a side note, it is good to take a drop of oil every day and add it to your candle, because as the candle's burning, when you dress your candle, only the top of it is dressed. The rest of it isn't. And once this burns off, then your dressing has burned off. So you want to add a couple of drops every day to your candle to keep the energy there as you're working your magic. I talk about this in one of my other videos, and I'll make sure to leave that at the end of this if you want to look that up also. Okay, with your herbs, roots, and powders, glitter, sometimes people put glitter. I put a lot of shredded money in my money candles. You want to be light. I'm a little heavy-handed sometimes, but again, a little bit goes a long way. You don't have to have a lot. You want to have enough that you see it in there and that it's dressed, but you don't have to have a lot. And you want to make sure that when you're putting your ingredients in here, try to stay away from the wick. So move it closer to the glass as much as possible. I know with powders, you can't really control where it goes, but you can take something and just maybe clear around the wick so that this part is not covered, or the bottom part is not covered with your herbs. And the reason is, if it's covered with herbs, what's going to happen is the flame is going to ignite those herbs, and you're either A, going to end up with a candle that the entire top of it is on fire. Yeah, that's pretty much the reason. And of course, we want to practice fire safety. B, also, you're going to end up burning up all the herbs, and now they're burnt and they're gone, and there's no herbs adding their energy to the candle. So you want to make sure that you don't put them directly on the wick. When you are adding your herbs and oils, clockwise for manifesting to bring in, counterclockwise when you are removing, okay? So anything that you want to bring to yourself, dress in a clockwise. Anything you're trying to get rid of, counterclockwise. All right, so now I'm going to show you a few examples of a couple of different candles and kind of just go over what some of the meanings are traditionally in hoodoo and candle magic. So this right here, this is a court case candle that I did for a client. As you can see, this is what is called a clean burn. It has burned down clean. There's no darkness, there's no black on the top, there's no markings on here, okay? You see what I'm saying? It's still intact, it's not broken, it's not cracked, none of that. The one thing you may notice, and it's the lighting in here, I don't know if you'll be able to tell. Let me see, maybe not. But this candle looks a little frosted. It looks a little, it's not 100% clear. So, you know, if you were to here we go. If this was empty, this would be crystal clear. You can see through it. You see how this is kind of foggy? That's called white soot. And when you have white soot on your candle, it is believed that that is a symbol that there are energy or spirits present, and that they are acknowledging and they see your request, they're getting your request, or they got your request. So that is usually what the interpretation for this is. So for this, I look at this and I feel really good about it. Yes, there is a very, very small amount of wax left around here at the bottom. It's very little, so I'm not terribly concerned. If it was more, sometimes you'll see like an inch of wax, a couple inches of wax left over, then that can mean that the spell work isn't completed or the results are not going to fully manifest. As well as if it burns, you know, on one side and half of the wax is still left on the other, then that means only half of the request will be granted. So for this, I feel pretty good about this. This is a paraffin candle. Some, you know, I've had lots of candles that burn with nothing, but I wouldn't take this as a flag of, oh, you know, it's not going to work. So this is a clean burn, excellent candle. Feel very good about this. This is, let's see, which one do I want to show you guys next? Okay, so this candle came pre-dressed. This is called a cocktail candle. And what that means is it's a regular paraffin wax candle, but it has a little cube of palm wax on it. It's scented, so it has herbs, and sometimes herbs, sometimes not, but herbs, oils, or glitter that is coincide with whatever the candle is being used for. Now, with this candle, and with all cocktail candles, I add my own herbs, I add my own oils. I always still infuse it with additional things to make it stronger and to add the energy for, you know, whatever the client's request is. Again, this is a good burn. There was a little bit of darkening around here at the top, and just slightly, it's kind of dark all the way down. Sorry about the siren. It's kind of dark all the way down, but it's not terrible. What this would tell me is that this candle, you know, what it's working towards, there's something, you know, there's energy there that it was working to, I don't really want to say fight, but it was working against or trying to resolve. And this particular candle, Milk of the Beloved Woman, this is a love spell candle. And you guys can look that up. I'm not going to go into all the details, but this is a love spell candle, and it's working to kind of help remove obstacles in a relationship, or just, you know, make things a little bit better, a little bit sweeter. So a little bit dark just tells me, yeah, there's some stuff there, and this candle was working towards it. But as you can see, it's pretty clear, pretty clean all the way down. There is a little darkness on the inside right in there, which was from the wick, had traveled over to the side of the candle. When I saw it, I said, ooh, let me move that. So that's what that is from. Okay, this. Now this is quite different. You see the difference in these two? This tells me something's going on. And this is a road opener candle. You guys hear me talk about these a lot. This candle was specifically for that, to open the roads. And usually people use these because they're feeling blocked, or they're trying to, you know, open up good things to come to themselves. So this darkness, how black it is, this didn't even happen the first day, which sometimes the candles will burn fine a couple days and then they will start to get dark as it goes down. There was obstacles. There was blockages for this person, and the candle worked. It was fighting. As you can see, it cleared up down the bottom to clear away whatever the blockages were. this is only in the very beginning part of the candle. So what that would also tell me is these blockages either weren't as heavy, maybe they weren't as big of problems or obstacles as you're gonna see maybe in one of the other candles, but there was something there and the candle worked to get rid of it, to open the road. So to me, I would consider this a successful candle. Sometimes people see this and they're like, oh my God, you know, do I do another one? It cleared it up. Now, if it had burned completely black, like all the way black, all the way down, then I would suggest either repeating the work or trying a different candle altogether. Maybe that candle wasn't appropriate or wasn't strong enough for what it is you're asking for, and also doing some cleansing and adding some additional candles to it. This next example is an offertory candle to Elegua. This candle was not dressed with anything. It was just given. There was a request with this candle to Elegua, and this is also a road opening candle. So again, tells me a couple of things. There are some blockages in the individual's requests that they, you know, their life, what they were asking for. There are some blockages. There are some pretty significant blockages, because as you can see, it burned dark pretty much halfway down, and then it started to clear up. This could also mean that this candle was either the request, you know, wasn't received, or maybe this, you know, going to Elegua for this particular thing wasn't, you know, he wasn't appropriate for it, or this request should not be fulfilled, what, you know, whatever that is. So sometimes with your offertory candles that are specifically for spirits, if it's something that they aren't going to grant, feel like they shouldn't grant, if you're asking, if maybe you're not asking for the right thing, or maybe you're giving the wrong candle for the intention, maybe you needed to add a different candle or use a different candle for your request, then it will come back like this, okay? Offertory candles, the way I use them for my personal self, not for clients, but for me, I just give them, this is just an offertory candle. I'm not asking for anything or anything like that, but for some cases I will use this with a client's request, and then it will kind of tell us what's going on. So obstacles, it looks like it was cleared up pretty well. You know, if it had burned all the way black, or if it didn't light, then I would be like, oh, maybe like what, this wasn't received, or this isn't the right spell, or this isn't the right request, or I need to do something in addition. But that didn't happen. This cleared up nicely, so I feel pretty good. Now, when a candle does burn like this, so not where there's, you know, just a little bit up here, but it's significantly burned darker, more of the way down, I will do a further divination. I will do a reading on it. So I will throw some cards on it, or do a pendulum reading, or just try to figure out, do I need to repeat it again so that it's stronger? Sometimes you need to do a spell more than once, or for a several amount of days, to help remove whatever's, you know, the problem is, and clear away that energy. Sometimes the candle, just, this isn't the right candle, so maybe I need to come back with a different candle and do it that way. Or sometimes I need to maybe just do a completely different spell, and maybe even work with a different deity or call upon a different energy. So the way that I figure that out is by doing a reading to confirm what needs to be done, or just genuinely to ask, what information do I need to know about this to, you know, relate to the client. And if something else needs to be done, then of course letting them know, because there's no point in doing a candle spell if it's not going to work and there needs to be more work to get the results. Then hey, you got to do it, right? All right, and then this last candle I'm going to show you, another money candle. You can see it burned down, nothing, no wax whatsoever left at the bottom. A little darkening at the top, but it burned down, no white soot, it burned down crystal clear. This candle, the reason why it's black is because it was overdressed. Yeah, it was dressed a lot, had a lot of herbs. I did clear away some of the powders, like the cinnamon and nutmeg that I put around it, but I didn't really clear away a lot of it, and the top of it did ignite, and this is the result of that. So that's why it's important to watch your candles when you light them. Don't just light them and walk away. It's important to, you know, take your time dressing it, sit with your candle, because someone that may be newer to candle magic will see this and they'll think, oh my gosh, there's blockages or something, and it really isn't. It's just the way the candle was dressed, and you have to know that. So it's important to know the difference. That way you know what you're doing and kind of what to expect. So this was, you know, on me, is my bad for not really taking, I mean, I took my time, but not really making sure that everything wasn't around the wick. And also with these candles, even if you clear some space around the wick, that doesn't mean that the candle still won't end up igniting. If your oils have, well, I don't really want to say a mineral base, because some conjure oils do, a lot of them do, but if you're working with an oil that's a synthetic, that's the number one way of knowing your oil is synthetic. It will catch on fire. A essential oil will burn off. It may still spark, but it will eventually burn off. It won't, you know, keep blazing, burning. So that's kind of one way of knowing. Also, I had a candle once that I had going, this is for me, and you know, I was very careful. I watched it. It burned beautifully when it first lit, and I sat with it for a while. I went to bed, and I had been asleep for a minute, like a couple hours, and something I heard in like my ear, like something was like, wake up. And I woke up and I looked over, and the whole top of my candle was on fire, blazing. Now, for it to have been burning for a few hours, it had already gotten liquefied. It had gone down a little bit. It shouldn't have done that. So, you know, again, you got to do a quick reading, figure out why that happened. Sometimes you need to do cleansing. So you may need to throw the candle away and buy a new one, clean it really good, do a spiritual cleansing of yourself, and relight it. I know, you know, some of us, we may not have the budget to just be throwing away candles and buying more of them. If that's the case, then you'd want to turn your candle off, do a spiritual cleansing with incense or water or however you normally do it, redress the candle, re-say your prayer, and then relight your candle. You can also add a glass of water. So a candle like this, or let's say this wasn't an offertory candle, but just, you know, like I said, this for a spell, I would add a glass of water to remove any negativity that could be coming towards it, or that to help the candle fight against the negative energy. Or I would add a white candle beside it. So either a glass candle, doesn't have to be, it could also be a, you know, the little tea lights, the little small tea light candles, but I would add a white candle for protection and to help absorb or aid the candle in whatever it is it's trying to fight against. All right. I think that's it. Yeah, that is it. Oh, okay, I guess I will. I wasn't going to go over this, but I will. If your candle cracks, breaks, pops, depending on where the candle is burning and what it is for, it can either mean you've made a breakthrough in the situation, but more times than not, if the candle breaks or cracks, that's not a positive sign. That is a negative sign that whatever it is you were working on or working against, there is some serious energy coming towards you. So in that case, I would, number one, suggest a spiritual cleansing. Obviously, you do not want to use a candle, relight a candle that's broken or cracked or anything like that. Get rid of it. Get a reading to figure out if you need to do another candle of the same thing, or if you need to do a different candle. If it's determined that you should repeat the spell, then you want to add some protection around the candle by way of other candles, burning some sort of incense for protection, making sure you clear your space that you're working in beforehand. So whether that's smudging or envisioning a circle of white light, or calling in, you know, the quarters or the watchtowers or the elements or fairies or your ancestors, spirit guides, totem animals, whatever it is that you work with, make sure that you have that protection in place. Years ago, I was doing a spell. It was me and two of my girlfriends, and we were at my house one night. It was, I'm pretty sure it was a full moon, and we were doing a ritual together. It wasn't for the same thing. We all had the same objective, but for our own personal, but it was pretty much the same thing. And we're sitting in my living room. I had an altar, a fireplace altar in the living room. So the candles were on the floor. We each had our own little area, our own little space next to each other, sitting with our candles. And, you know, we're sitting there quietly, music's going, candles are going, we're meditating and putting our energy into it. And my glass candle, I will never forget this. my glass candle cracked, whole candle cracked all the way around. This part, the top, broke in like a U shape. It broke, popped, and slid across the floor. I had hardwood floors at the time. Slid across the floor, and it was so loud, it happened so quick, it, you know, jolted all of us out of meditation. And we all were looking at the candle, and my girlfriends are looking at me, and I'm like, okay. And it was interesting because the energy in the room from the three of us, from the chanting and the meditation, everything, it was very dense, very, very strong energy. You know, we called in the aid of the quarters and the elements, and we even called in the aid of the watchtowers because we were like doing some heavy magic at that night. But yeah, it busted, flew across the floor. The wax started leaking out of the side of the candle, and I was just like, okay. Needless to say, I got rid of that candle and got another one, and, you know, redid my spell, whatever, the next day. After that happened, that kind of ended the session for the night. We were all kind of like, okay, we think we've put in enough energy. Yeah. The interesting thing about that was the individual. Okay, I'm gonna just be honest with you guys. I was doing a love spell, and the guy that I was burning this candle on, he practiced magic also, and he called me the next day, and he says, jokingly, not in a, you know, not in a mean way, but he was like, you over there burning candles on me? Like, would you try to put some hoodoo on me? And I was like, no, please, that's crazy. Like, why would I do that? And he was like, yeah, yeah, well, he was right, and he felt it. And I just thought that was funny. You know, it wasn't anything bad, nothing negative came about it. You know, my spell worked, if you're wondering. But yeah, also, oh yeah, people that have spiritual protectors, you got to be careful when you're burning candles on people. You don't know who they have as their protectors, their spirit guides, who they have in their family that may be a seer or a reader that can feel things. The reason why that happened was because he had so much spiritual protection around him. They went like this. Nope, you're not doing this. You're not invading. You're not sending this energy to this individual. That's not a negative thing. You know, that's a good thing. So I did learn my lesson also, like, maybe trying to work on this one isn't the best idea. And it really wasn't needed. It wasn't a full-on love spell. I was just trying to get the communication, a little more communication, you know, kind of, you know, move things along a bit more in the relationship. Yeah, but anyway, we had a great relationship 3 years long after that. I probably didn't need to do the spell in the first place, but that was my kind of warning sign from his angels, like, don't do this, don't go there, this is not for you to do. So, and that happens a lot of times when people try to put spells on other people, or you get into witch wars. My mother, you know, had someone who tried to put some work on her, and the repercussions were not very good. So you do want to be careful who you're putting spells on, because their angels will definitely protect them, and they will come for you. They will make sure that you are taken care of. So that's just a side tip. Okay. Whew, I'm done. That was trying to be brief. That was lengthy, but I hope that this information has helped you. I hope that it has cleared up some of your questions so that you can interpret your candles better and get better results. Thank you so much for watching. I'll try to come back maybe with another video with a few other candle examples, but I think this is pretty good to get you guys started. You can visit my website at oneritualaway.com. Go under the tab for candle interpretation. I have a long blog there with a lot of information that can kind of just give you a little guideline for your candles when you're burning them, like what does it mean. You're welcome to visit that. All right, leave your questions, leave your comments below. Be sure to like, share, and subscribe to my YouTube channel. Thank you guys. I love you so much. I will be back with another video pretty soon. Peace and blessings, and happy holidays.